All right. So I decided to make a YouTube video on something with an Xbox One S. I really wish I would have recorded a lot sooner to show you what exactly was going on the TV with this Xbox, just so that there was a better, clear understanding. I'm going to turn my TV on real quick. If I select the Xbox, it's going to turn the console on, like so. Now, I will say before, it was not actually doing that. Now you notice I have the console part. That's the casing in there for it. And you see I have the hard drive not even in its caddy sitting on the board. Got this Xbox off of a guy off of Facebook Marketplace. We did a trade. I traded him a car amplifier. It was a good car amplifier. It worked and everything, but it wasn't like some crazy expensive, really good amplifier. It was just, basic, generic, but whatever. Not the point. Point is I traded the amplifier for this Xbox knowing that the Xbox did not work. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't boot. No image on the screen. You could hit the button, light would turn on, but the screen, hi, there's me in the reflection. The screen would just, yep, that's my gamer tag for Xbox. The screen wouldn't show any of this. It would literally just be blank. It would kind of look like, well, it's not going to do it now because I have everything plugged in. But it was just a screen saying that there's no power, there's an issue, as if this wasn't even plugged in. So, messing around with it a little while, doing some research online and everything, I'm reading about how maybe the HDMI port is jacked up. I checked the HDMI port really good. The bottom of it wasn't spread apart like how they sometimes are. The HDMI port is actually really secure. I'm going to turn this off real quick so you can get a better understanding here of what I'm explaining. So I'm going to turn it off and pull both of these out. So I don't know how good the image is going to be. Sorry about the laundry. But if you look in here, right? HDMI port, fine. This one here, I don't think anybody even really uses anymore. I think back when Xbox was first trying to do the whole making the Xbox console into a cable box where your cable could work through your Xbox. I think that whole thing fell through, so this part of the Xbox isn't even operational as far as I know. So you just have this port here. I have seen in the past where because of this not being usable, when these go bad, I've seen people desolder this one and just bloop, put it over there after they remove this one. And then they leave the space blank because you can't use it. So anyway, I got, the whole back of the console here. I don't know if any of this information matters. Manufacturing date is 2016, looks like. Nope, I'm sorry, that's 2018. So anyway, got this, hooked it up, turned it on. When I turned it on, this controller is not a wireless controller, it is a aftermarket wired one. It's not even an Xbox. But the light on here was usually the indicator for me as to whether or not the Xbox was actually powering up correctly or not. If this light lit up, then I knew that this was loading, and then I'd get an image on my screen. As a matter of fact, that would be the image I would keep getting while this was on. I would keep getting something like this. So, I had taken the hard drive out. Somebody had been in this before me as well. I'll get to why I know that in a minute. So I took this out because I know that the hard drive can be one of the culprits. And I also took the power supply out, knowing that this can also be one of the culprits. And I also know that this retimer chip can be a culprit. Even if your HDMI port isn't bad, sometimes these filters and sometimes this retimer chip can go bad, giving you the same issue with the display. So, point being, after I inspected my HDMI chip, I realized it was fine. Nothing really wrong with it. My retimer chip here, I thought about ordering a new one, and I decided against it. And to be honest with you, I tried to do a reflow just to see if it would work, do anything. Didn't change anything. However, I walked away from the Xbox out of frustration at one point and decided that I would just walk away and take a break. I came back, and when I came back, the light on the controller was on, and I had an image on the screen. So I'm like, what? And I mean, I walked away for a good bit, 10, 15 minutes, and all of a sudden it was on, but it had a code on the screen, and it was asking me to register the code on my Xbox app. So I'm like, okay. So I download the app on my phone, put in the code, then it tells me it can't connect to the console. Next thing I know, the console's frozen, and it's not doing anything. The more I'm diagnosing this problem and messing around with it, and I'm turning the console off, turning it back on, sometimes the screen, an image would come up right away, and sometimes it wouldn't come up at all for an hour. Sometimes it'd come up after 15 minutes, and it would be the Xbox screen, the logo, and that was it. So I started literally sitting by the console for any length of time and holding these two buttons, which would be your eject and your sync button. People online were calling it something else, but it's your sync controller button. So I would be sitting there holding these and then hit the power button, and I would just hold them and hold them and hold them until I finally would see this light come on and an image come up on the screen. I'd let go of my buttons, and then I'd get the screen talking about there was a problem, troubleshoot, or continue. So I went to the option of trying to do a full reset. Now, after my reset completed, and here's the strange part, my reset worked completely. The Xbox didn't freeze, it didn't turn off, it reset the way it was supposed to. My problem lied is when I turned it back on, after the reset was completed, it would stay off for a while again. And then it would take me eventually back to that screen with the code. So I started learning that this doesn't necessarily seem like a hardware issue like I thought it was. This must be something related to the hard drive with software. Maybe it was a bad update. Maybe there was something wrong. So I went to try to pull the hard drive out. And the person that was in here before me, when they tried to pull this plug, they took the entire thing out. If you take the entire thing out, I'll just show you a little sneak peek here of what happens. So if I'm trying to pull up on this, I didn't mean for it to come all the way out, but it did. But anyway, so that's what happened to me the first time. The biggest thing is when something like this happens to you, don't freak out, don't panic. Try to have some decent lighting, because my lighting in here sucks right now. I didn't mean to pull that all the way out, so give me a second. I'm going to have to unplug this hard drive anyway, because I need to show you what I actually did to repair this. So anyway, if you run into this problem where the whole port pulls out, pain in the butt. Because you gotta line all these pins back up. I meant to frickin' glue this thing in too. I'll do it this time around. I'll do like a Ben Heck hack. I'll just glue everything back together with some hot glue. Sorry, I'm trying to... Are some of my pins bent? No. No, it's just being stubborn. But anyway, you gotta line the pins up inside of these holes. This was not supposed to be part of my video here. That's my mother-in-law's cat getting frustrated that she's stuck in there. Name is Pepsi. She's a crazy cat. Anyway, back to this. I need to get this back in. There we go. Come on. Oh, come on. This wasn't supposed to be part of the video. Sorry, guys. I gotta take this thing off the plug. I mean, I guess it's good because you're gonna get to learn how to fix this problem when you have it. Turn my light on so I can see. This was supposed to be a short video, guys. I'm sorry. So, those little things are supposed to slide into here. These are not the most fun consoles to work on. So you see, I have all my pins lined up and everything. The problem is that if you don't do this right, you just end up bending those pins real bad as you're trying to plug in the SATA cable. So anyway, I need to hot glue that so that stops happening. It hasn't happened to me in quite some time, but I was trying to give you an example of what happened, and boom, there it was. I'm not the one who did that. That was already like that before I got this console, because there was also a piece broken inside of this plug when I did separate them. Anyway, on to my point here. So, this hard drive, you see it's a 1 terabyte. So this Xbox One S is actually a 4 terabyte 4K model, which is actually kind of funny because it'll do 4K DVDs, but it won't do 4K games. Stupid. So I peeled the label a little bit thinking maybe there's some screws here. I can open it up because I was watching some videos on hard drive repairs, and I saw where sometimes the reader might get stuck. And every time I messed with this thing, I would listen to the hard drive and the clicking and the noise and everything it was making. That's ultimately what got me on the hard drive kick was when I noticed that when this hard drive started, it would make noise and then it would go silent. Make noise, go silent. And eventually you could kind of hear it like spin up and start doing things, as though like how sometimes a CD drive will sound, where you put a disc in and all of a sudden it'll like kick into gear. My hard drive sounded similar. And I would go through the whole process and it would start to reset and then it would turn off again, or it would freeze or whatever. It was really starting to irritate me. So I started watching videos on hard drive repairs. This one, unfortunately, is a sealed hard drive. There is no way to get to the discs without completely destroying this thing on the inside. Pulled the labels to try to see if there was any screws. There wasn't any screws. It was all just sealed and with indentations. I did, however, see this board back here with a very fine Phillips 1, 2, and 3. So I took all 3 of these screws out. Over here in this area is a macro plug. It is very small. It's a surface mount. And if you try to pull this board off crooked, you could break that surface mount plug. So I put a plastic pry tool over here in this corner and lifted on this side, and the whole thing popped off. On the other side of this, over in this area up here, there were 2 0-ohm resistors. They were shorted to ground. When I test them, they had no reading, and on my diode setting on my multimeter, it would just beeped continuous. That told me that both my 0-ohm resistors were bad. Now, 0 ohms is supposed to really read 0, but they're not supposed to short to ground. Replace both of them. Put my 3 screws back in, which, by the way, this screw is shorter. These 2 are longer. Make sure you keep them in correct order so you're not putting one that's too long where it doesn't belong. Popped it in, hooked my screws back up, put my power supply back in. I am going to be rebuilding this console, putting it all back together and everything once my video here is done. Now, I will say there was one time since I fixed this. I fixed it last night. This morning, I turned it on and I started downloading games. And I tried to play one game while 2 others were downloading, and it froze up on me and crashed. So I am in no way, shape, or form saying that this repair would work for everybody. And I am also not trying to indicate at all that this is a 100% permanent fix/repair. I'm saying this is something that I tried after doing a lot of research online and YouTube and everything, trying to figure out if there was any way I could fix this without spending a ton of money and time and on a computer with software and all this other stuff. I was just trying to see if there was anything I could do to fix it. In the time being, one day I may go ahead and get a replacement hard drive. Alright, so there's that. I'm going to reinstall that in the caddy later. Got everything hooked back up. Like I said, also, I wish I would have recorded my progress throughout, but I didn't have high hopes or expectations that anything I was going to do was going to work. I have very basic knowledge in electronics repair. I do know how to solder. I do know how to test. I do know how to do certain things. Really, it's kind of my resources that are limited. As far as being able to get products and whatnot, and I usually try to do everything on a budget. I don't have a ton of money to just blow in parts without even 100% knowing if it's my problem. So anyway, Gonna hit the power button. We're gonna look at the controller. It lit up. And my TV timed out, so we gotta turn that back on. And there it is. Give it a second to actually show the screen. But anybody else having this this issue where it seems like you have no power, your light comes on and your screen is blank. If you have a wired controller and the light's not on, if the light's not on, you know that it's not loading correctly. It's not booting the operating system. Here's my name. That's just a very short indicator, is that light. So by looking at this, yep, see, I still got that installing, Warzone. I've already downloaded these 3 games. So it's been staying on and working long enough for me to actually install these games. I just haven't gotten to try to play any of them yet. Like I said, I tried to play Rocket League while this was still downloading, and then it did freeze on me. So I'm going to wait until everything is done installing and everything's good, and then I'm going to try to play a game on it. So hit the power button. Nothing's happening. No image. HDMI looks alright. Retimer chip. There's no way to really tell whether that looks alright or not. The only thing I did do with my retimer chip was I used my cell phone here that I'm using to record, and I put it on a tripod and I zoomed in as close as I could without it blurring, and I used my phone as a telescope, and I used my probes for my multimeter. I put one on the chassis ground, and then I checked all the other pins around the retimer chip. And the ones that are supposed to be ground were ground, as per the videos I watched on YouTube. So, yeah. If you seem like you're having the same type of problem with your Xbox One S or a regular Xbox One or whatever, I don't know if this would work for all of them. I don't know if it'll work for any of them. I'm just saying it's what worked for me. Take your hard drive out of the caddy. Get your hard drive bare. Completely by itself. Sorry, I'm being careful because it's actually... I shouldn't have picked it up while it's writing the game. But anyway, take the hard drive out of the caddy. Take the hard drive completely out of the system. Detach the circuit board and check your 0 ohm resistors. If your 0 ohm resistors are shorted to ground, meaning that if you take your probe and you put it on a ground of the circuit board and then you try to touch both sides and you take your probes and put it on both sides of the resistor and it's a long continuous beep, they're shorted to ground. Take them off, replace them, and put everything back together, and you may have yourself a working hard drive again. You should be able, if it's your own hard drive and it's got all your information on it and everything, you should be able to save all your information. Changing those resistors is not going to wipe it clean. It's not going to erase any data on it. But if it's not your hard drive and you're having problems, give it a shot. What's the worst that's going to happen? And as far as 0 ohm resistors, I have a bin full of spare electronic boards that I've had for years, picking up TVs and radios and stuff off the side of the road. You know, sometimes they have some good, valuable parts in them. Parts that you would spend hundreds of dollars on that you have to wait a month for because they're on back order, are sitting on some of these circuit boards on the side of the road. So give it a shot. See what happens. If you get any good results, posting my comments. Subscribe, like, share. I know a lot of you have liked my Kenwood repair videos. Some of you have already liked my massive audio subwoofer repair. I also have another YouTube channel called Mike P 1024. And in Mike P 1024, that was a long time ago. Just getting into doing YouTube videos while I was in a body shop. And I have some videos of me doing a Firebird, Kicker subwoofer, Polaris ATV repair, a couple different things if you want to check out that channel. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and catch you on the next repair video.